We've got more companies and organizations entering the 2A fold than ever as far as advocacy is concerned. We've got another one with us here today who is very interested in continuing the push for Second Amendment rights in California. That is CCW Safe. Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel today. Fruits of the labor continue as we have more opportunities to sit down and hear from some of these vendors at SHOT Show and what they provide to the California community. For today's episode, we've got Kent Brown from CCW Safe. He's the president of CCW Safe. Kent, thank you very much for being here with us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we've had, CCW Safe as a sponsor on our channel for a while. For that, we are thankful. That does go toward the fight in the lobbying efforts as well as the litigation efforts in the state of California. And we've done a couple of videos on it, but for those who haven't watched those episodes, could you give us a little background on yourself, a little background on CCW Safe and what it is that you guys provide?
Sure, yeah. I've been with CCW Safe about 3.5 years as the president of the company. Had a kind of a business background in the outdoor industry with companies like Coleman, and so I've been around the outdoors and firearms. My wife and I were firearms owners and for self-defense, and then when the opportunity came up to be part of CCW Safe, we got really excited because of the mission of the company and what they do. And the company's been around this is our 13th year here in 2025, and we were started by some retired Oklahoma City police officers. They had, in particular, Mike Darter, the original founder. He had been an officer in Oklahoma City and had been involved in a very serious shooting in the line of duty that ended up in quite a few lawsuits, including a civil case in federal court. When you have an officer-involved shooting, those officers get all the resources in the world. The FOP produces the best attorneys, counseling, anything that they need to survive these lawsuits when they're on duty. So when Mike retired and another one of his counterparts retired, they said, well, what happens now if we get involved in a serious self-defense incident? If it's at the Walmart parking lot or in our home, there's no FOP anymore. They're not going to take care of us, and we need to have a plan. So they looked around at the industry at that time, and they really were very unhappy. There were a couple people that were doing some things, but they said, this is really not very good help. So we need to start a business where we offer basically the police model to everyday citizens, and that's how they started the business 13 years ago, and then it's elevated and evolved over time into what CCW Safe today is, which is really the high service, high expertise provider in the category.
Well, I mean, speaking of coming to today, in the online space, there has been some controversy that a lot of people are talking about. I'm just sort of curious, while CCW Safe hasn't been involved in any of that controversy,
Yeah.
What is it that sets that product apart from others in the same industry?
There's quite a few things that really make us different. I would say first and foremost, we do what we say we're going to do. We have one mission, which is to care for our members. That's all we do. We don't sell training programs or backpacks or anything like that. Our staff is built to service the members in the aftermath of a self-defense incident. Now we also have training and education, which we give away so that we can hopefully get members the ability to avoid situations where they're going to be forced to defend themselves. But for the ones who get into a self-defense incident, a third of our employees are just full-time resources that get deployed when someone has this terrible thing thrust upon them.
Well, I actually I got the opportunity to do a podcast with Mike Darter at the last Route 66 Range Expo, and you can tell that guy's been in it. He was able to very eloquently break down the process that somebody goes through mentally and physically when they find themselves in that situation of defensively having to use a firearm. I'm wondering if you can expand on that a little bit. While he did a great job talking about the process of going through that traumatic incident, what is then the process that any CCW Safe member would go through after that incident occurs?
Sure, yeah. I would just say first, and I'm sure a lot of your members, they spend a lot of time training with their firearm, putting rounds downrange, all the things that lead up to, and using the firearm. What they don't really train and practice for is what happens next, because that's not the end of the incident. And so there's some things that we would always recommend people practice and learn, like how you're going to deal with the police, the things that are going to happen to you emotionally that really change what's going on in your brain immediately thereafter, and all the things that go on. So it suggests that people come to the website and look up some of that free training. But once that incident occurs, the process for us is pretty clear. We want you to call 911 first. And by the way, if there's another person involved and they're able to call 911, you be the first one to call. That's always an advantage when you're the first one to call. So you call 911 and then you call our hotline. It's answered 365 days a year. So quick 30-second screening where we get current contact information from you, because what's in our system may not be what you have available after your incident. You might be separated from your phone. So we get that just in case we lose you on the call. Then you get passed through to one of our attorneys. And our main attorney, National Trial Counsel, is a guy named Don West, who a lot of people know from the George Zimmerman case in Florida 10 years ago. He was part of the counsel team that defended George Zimmerman. So he's the guy that you're going to get connected to. He's 39 years of criminal defense experience, high-profile cases. He knows exactly what's going on, what we need to do. So when he gets the call, we have a team of 8 people that get notified immediately as soon as the call gets patched. We have no idea other than the person's name and their information and that they've been in an emergency. And then Don is starting to triage the situation on the phone with them. That's a protected conversation because we're looking for an attorney, so there's attorney-client privilege on that call. And then Don, all of our other response team starts checking in, standing by 24 hours a day. So 2 o'clock in the morning when my phone goes off, I go in the other room and I start seeing the teams report in. And then Don will let us know if we need critical response or we just need attorney, and it's a little different. So if it's a deadly shooting or a serious shooting where you've defended yourself and shot someone, we're going to deploy, and we're the only ones in the industry that do this, we're going to deploy a boots-on-the-ground response to your location anywhere where our members are within 24 hours. And the people that are coming are retired law enforcement officers that have a minimum of 10 years of homicide investigation experience. So you're getting a person that shows up that knows what the process is. You know, we're facilitating bond in some cases to get a member out of jail. We're going to get them comfortable with, this is what the police are doing next. This is what the DA is going to do. Here's the things that you need to do now to participate in the process appropriately. Here's the things that you need to do to care for yourself. I mean, we've done things in serious cases, including meal plans, workout plans, give them a social media briefing where it's like, don't put this online, don't tell the details to anybody who would put it online, even your family and friends. Be very limited in what you talk about until we get a little further in. So you really have someone there who's looking you in the eye, walking you through this, because the criminal justice system is designed to run you over, and most people don't know what's coming next. So that's a very unique part of our process. Now, in parallel to that, Don is locating and vetting the best attorney for your situation in your local area. And we're big believers in, you need your primary attorney right there in the market where you are, that they know the investigators at the police department, they know the people in the DA's office, at the courthouse. We're going to have much better success with their connections and contacts. And then Don is vetting them for their qualifications. So all these things are working simultaneously to get the team in place to give you the success.
With your, and I can imagine, compiling a team that knows the system, knows how to navigate it, but is then doing it in your interest, I can imagine would be a very beneficial thing to have if you find yourself in that situation.
It is. It sounds, some people think it sounds a little trite sometimes, but it's like a family member is in trouble. And so this team of 8 people gets activated, and we're like, okay, we got to get on scene. We got to get, in some cases, the bail taken care of. We've got to get the right attorney. We've got to get all these things going. Everything from, even in some cases early on, working on counseling services. If the incident happened inside your home, getting a cleanup team prepped as soon as the home was released back from the police. We're going to have a biohazard team come in and clean that up. That's all included. So all these little details that people don't think about, we know. We've got it. We're activated on those immediately. There's nothing that happens that we don't know is going to happen.
Well, it would certainly be reassuring to know that you have somebody working on your behalf on all of those intricacies when you've just gone through such a traumatic experience. I'm wondering, are there any success stories that you find in California that you can share with us?
Yeah, for sure. We had an incident. It's been about a year and a half ago now, and actually, if you go to our website on the homepage, scroll down, you'll see a testimonial from this member. His name's John. He was in the L.A. metro area. Was on his way home from the gym one night, and he's such a nice and funny guy. He'll tell you the story. He said, I had this new box of cereal at home that I wanted to eat the next morning, and I just need to get some milk. So it's a pretty understandable situation. So he's like, I was not in a great part of town. I'm just going to swing into 7-Eleven, get the milk, get out. I can't go through all the details, but he parked in front of the 7-Eleven. Somebody else parked next to him. By the time he gets out of his car, one person approaches him from the front, another person approaches him from behind. They smash him in the side of the head. They had already threatened him with a firearm before he ever got out of his car.
Wow.
He goes to the ground. His carry weapon popped out on the ground. The person was reaching for it. John was able to gather himself after being punched, get the firearm, and he did end up shooting the person. He did a couple really good things correctly, and he had watched a lot of our content on the site and knew some of the right things to do. He actually tried to care for the person that he had shot, get them still, get some pressure on where he had been shot, and just let him know that we were calling for an ambulance. He did that, called 911. While he's on the phone with 911, the other person that was with the person that he had to shoot is calling people to come and now shoot him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, I think his 911 called something to the effect of, I hope you get here before these other people get here. Yeah. And actually the police responded very, very, very quickly. And so they actually, because he was cooperating, and when they showed up, I think he'd even told them, this is what I'm wearing, so you know who I am. When the police got there, he had the firearm out in front of him. He laid down on the sidewalk. I mean, he cooperated completely. They let him use his own phone and make a call from the back of the police car, and he called us and got a hold of the system. Don immediately was getting his attorney, and then I deployed two people in his case. It was a pretty serious incident, so we had two people on the ground the next day. Of course, we got him out. They had a $50,000 bond, so we paid the premium, which is $5,000. He was released, and then we started counseling him through, here's what's coming, here's what to do. Fast forward about 2 weeks, the attorney that we had, they had devised a strategy with John to actually proactively reach out to the prosecutor because the case was really strong, and that was the strategy. So they set up a meeting and went into the prosecutor to present all the information, and it ended up in what they generally refer to as a no file. So they didn't file any charges. They put that in writing, and that was the end of that part of the process. In 2 weeks, we spent about $20,000 on his behalf. Of course, we deployed two people on site to help him, and then those people were also his contacts for what goes on after that, right? And so there's counseling sessions that we want him to go through, because when you shoot someone, you need to talk to somebody about it. A lot of men are like, I'm good. No, you're not good. That's traumatic, and you need to talk about it. And so he's still in touch with his critical response person. This is a year and a half plus later.
Wow.
And some members of our staff, just to check in, see how things are going, see how he's doing mentally, how's business, how's life. And so those relationships actually endure for quite a while after these serious incidents.
Wow.
Yeah.
And while we continue to talk about, all of the litigation and legislation that we see in California, there's a lot of optimism that we're looking forward to. But a message that we're continuously trying to push is that we need to continue and be proactive and, have people who are there on your behalf. Doesn't necessarily start that day. It's a proactive measure that starts prior to that. So definitely good to see those success stories in California. I guess just as a final thought, you see CCW Safe partnering with organizations like CRPA, GOA. What is it that drives you as an organization to partner with advocacy groups like us that fight for Second Amendment rights?
Yeah, it's critical to us to partner with people like that, because what we really do is self-defense related work, right? We believe in the right to self-defense, and it exists anywhere in the United States for our citizens. So we're not lobbyists. We don't have attorneys who file lawsuits about 2A. We leave that to the people who have the expertise in that. So our expertise is in taking care of our members. So anything that happens, you and I talked briefly about SB2. When that occurred last year, our members were all very concerned that, can you help us even if we're in a sensitive area and all these things? And the answer is yes. Like, your right to defend yourself exists anywhere in here. Are there things that a local, state, or government might do because they don't want you to carry there? Yes. We're not really concerned about that. You're allowed to defend yourself in these places. So that's where it all starts. So partnering with CRPA allows us to do what we do best, but support the people who are going to do the things that help our members, keep their rights as it relates to the Second Amendment.
Well, we certainly believe that, which is why we filed a lawsuit on SB2. That's the May v. Bonta case that's in the Ninth Circuit right now,
Yep.
But it's definitely good to see that sentiment travel across the industry and reassuring that you hold that. Ken, I do got to say, I appreciate the time. I appreciate the knowledge and information on the organization, and I appreciate you sitting down with me. Thank you very much for coming on.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. And we just say thanks to all the CRPA members. It's been a pleasure to work with them and help them and just be involved with your organization in general. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, if you like videos like this and you want to continue to see them, please, as always, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel and to these videos. It really helps with the algorithms push this out as far and wide as it possibly can. And as always, we are trying to inform on the litigative and legislative and cultural aspects of the Second Amendment in California. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.